Consider the fascinating case of Austin Lewis. Austin Lewis is a 21-year-old disabled man in Toronto who applied for a subsidized housing unit in the city. Well, recently the city sent him a letter saying he could not get into the building he wanted, but it was the reason he couldn't get in that was truly fascinating. You see, Austin Lewis is not Muslim, and at this taxpayer-funded building, it's Muslims only. I'm with Laura Whiteway, the mother of Austin Lewis, the person who was denied a unit at a Toronto subsidized housing building. Laura, can you tell us what happened, what the process was, and why your son was denied a unit at this building on Finch Avenue?
Well, Austin had originally applied at several buildings for subsidized housing, accessible subsidized housing. And we received a letter at the end of August stating that he was declined housing opportunities due to the fact that he was not Muslim. For this particular building, he was not allowed to be in it because he was not Muslim.
Now, it actually said that in the letter, and you have it here,
Yeah.
right?
It's from the Ahmadiyya Abode of Peace at 3001 Finch Avenue West, and it says very clearly, in accordance with Section 76(2) of the Housing Services Act, one individual in your household must be a member of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jama'at, and if you aren't, you will be removed from the waiting list. And Austin is not Muslim.
Now, how did this make you and Austin feel when you saw that you were being, I guess, discriminated against based on religious beliefs?
Yeah, it's religious segregation, and we were just absolutely astounded. I questioned its legality. Councillor Joe Cressy came down here and said whatever he had to say, backtracking as much as possible. But apparently it is legal. We were outraged in this day and age to have that. And it is segregation. By definition of the word segregation, this is clear-cut religious segregation. And like, life is tough enough, and to separate people and say you have to be Muslim, you have to be Chinese, you have to be it's not right. It can't go on.
And I guess what makes it harder for your son, I imagine, he is disabled, he's confined to a wheelchair, unfortunately. I mean, it seems that he's got it tough enough, and then to be excluded based on religion.
What's very interesting is there is not one building that I know of specifically for handicapped people, unless it's long-term care. Austin is trying to live an independent life. He's trying to become part of the greater society. He has no problems with Muslims, Jewish people, Greek Orthodox, nothing. He just wants to live in a safe place and be a contributing member of society. And it's tough enough in a wheelchair. I mean, there's enough stigma out there. And now, when we got the letter, I'll never forget this, and I wish I could. I said, Austin, I have some bad news. It was, what is it? I said, you can't get into this one particular building, 3001 Finch Avenue West. And he said, why? Is it because I'm handicapped? I said, no, it's not because you're handicapped, Austin. It's because you're not Muslim.
Tell me, Laura, what are your options? You've gone to the media, including us. Is there a legal challenge potentially? I don't know if you have the means for that. Can you file an Ontario human rights complaint? They're usually gung-ho when it comes to any kind of discrimination. What are your options?
Well, I have filed a complaint with the Human Rights Commission on behalf of my son, Austin. I have also started a Raise Hope. It's like a GoFundMe organization. They have been awesome with me to help raise some money to hire a lawyer, since none have come forward offering their services. So we really need to raise some money through Raise Hope to get that legal representation, because I want to take this as far as I can possibly take it. It's so easy for people to hit like buttons on Facebook and I support this and I support that. But when it comes down to it, actions speak louder than words, and you have to act. We can make a change. We can. We have to speak. We have to do. We elect these people. We cannot elect them and then just sit back and complain.
Indeed, how is Austin doing? I mean, you were saying he was too injured to come here today. But is this kind of rejection getting him down in any way?
Austin is an optimist. He's incredible. Because he's in a wheelchair, he obviously uses his shoulders a lot, and so he has tendonitis in his shoulders. So that's what prevented him from coming here today. He had to rest his shoulders, but he was very confused. But he says, Mom, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And he's got this attitude like everything's going to be fine. But he is very surprised and shocked and very confused as to how this is happening in a place like Toronto, like in a country like Canada, that this is happening. He lived in Texas for 15 years. He's Canadian. He lived in Texas with his father for 15 years. His father died suddenly. He moved back up to Canada to be with me. And we've hit roadblocks from OHIP to CCAC to ODSP and now this. And my son remains optimistic, and that's what gives me hope.
Well, I'm with Karim Tahir. He is the property manager here at 3001 Finch Avenue West. And Mr. Tahir, you have a different take on Mr. Lewis's quest to get a unit here.
Yes, first of all, I wish to say that he needs a one-bedroom accessible unit. In this building, we do not have any one-bedroom accessible unit. So it is irrelevant, and under normal circumstances, this letter should not have been issued to him.
Now, do you have any sympathy for those people who are, I guess, upset, outraged by the fact that unless you have one member of your household as part of the Ahmadiyya Muslim faith, you can't get into this building? A lot of people think this is a form of segregation and exclusion to other people.
In fact, this is not a discrimination. We have people from Black and Anglo-Saxon and as well as Brown and Asian, from Bangladesh, from India, from Pakistan. It's not something which we are doing illegal. Human rights, Ontario Human Rights Code allows some sort of differentiation when communities provide services to religious groups. So this is that situation, and it has been seen by the lawyers in City of Toronto as well as our own lawyer. They made opinion letter to City of Toronto, and there are almost 24 buildings in Greater Toronto for different communities like Chinese, Japanese, Lithuanian. There is one community which takes only seniors, and that also from Christian religion only, and that is in East York. In Woodbridge, we have a building which takes only Italian origin people. So it is allocation of resources, and in my opinion, it makes sense because the services can be provided to those communities. This is the beauty of multiculturalism.
So Tahir, how do you respond to those who have criticism that if it's a publicly owned facility, or if a facility is getting public funding, there should be no exclusions? I mean, a lot of people would have no problem with exclusions on demographic lines if it's completely privately funded, but that's not the case with this building, is it?
Well, this building is not owned by public. It is owned by Ahmadiyya Board of Peace. We have a mortgage from banks. But of course, because we are required by the city to provide certain units on reduced rent, so we get the difference of rent from the province. So this is a rent subsidy or the operational subsidy, and it is according to the rules. And whatever the mandate has been given by the city, it is in line with Ontario Human Rights Code. It is in line with the policies of the city. And there are already about 24 or more projects in Greater Toronto which have similar mandates.
Also, I'm just curious, sir, if the tenants that you have living in this building, if there were several members who were not of the similar faith to move in, would that be problematic for them?
For the other tenants, it would not be problematic at all. Ahmadiyya believes in love for all, hatred for none. Ahmadiyya is based in more than 200 countries of the world, and Ahmadiyya draws membership from all races, colors, and stuff. So tenants will not have any problem. It is only that the services being made available, they will not be utilized.
Despite some limited media attention on the issue, the fight goes on for Austin Lewis to acquire a unit here at 3001 Finch Avenue West, which for the foreseeable future remains a Muslims-only building. Yet the question remains, how is such segregation justified? Well, one city councillor, Joe Cressy, he said that city councillors want, quote, people to live in a culturally appropriate setting, end quote. And it appears that if cultural appropriateness means a dash of apartheid on the taxpayer-funded dime, then so be it. For TheRebel.Media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies.